Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Prabhupada Satishi Srimad ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Srimad Bhagavatam Ki and Kota Vishnu Ki glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, I'm going to be chewing on ginger root, and hopefully my voice will gradually come back as the morning progresses. So, and she's redoing the verse. It's actually verse 9, and it was written as verse 10. So, by the way, I just noticed one of our important members of our community has returned from the holy Dham. Bhishmadev Prabhu, all glories to your pilgrimage. Hopefully you have many nice stories. If you'd like, one day you can come and tell us something, something about your trips. How's your health?
I didn't get sick one time.
Really?
The last time I got sick twice. I got a flu and then I got some stomach problem last time. This time nothing. 0.
Wow. You must be doing something right. You must be living right. That's right.
I don't know.
I don't
know why I didn't get sick.
So you went to Vrindavan, Mayapur?
I landed in Delhi. I hung out a couple of days, changed some money, rested up. Took an overnight train to Calcutta. Went up to Mayapur, and then I was doing. They go around the Harinam every afternoon. I was involved with that and the program and going here and there. And then I flew over to Jaipur. I was going to ride with Indraji every day. And I was in Vrindavan and was involved with the 24-hour kirtan and the Bhagavad Gita class at night. And I ran into Shruti Kirti. And I said, nobody comes and visit us here in New Talavana. So I said, if you ever want a place to, relax, come to New Talavana. We'd love to have you there. I don't think it'll work, but I figure I put the bug in his ear anyway,
Yeah. Where does he stay, in Hawaii?
I think so.
Yeah. So,
he was giving class there.
In Vrindavan?
Yeah, Prabhupada reminiscences.
Were you in Mayapur for the big Mahadishay?
I try to avoid festivals.
Okay.
There's just too many people,
Right, yeah.
There's too many people anyway.
Yeah.
What to speak of the festival, so I know you probably, extra benefit, but
I understand that. I completely understand. So, yeah. Oh, thank you. Well, no, you should give it to Bhishma, please. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so he's just come back. He needs to read him properly. I'm going to try to do the Sanskrit. I may need some help. Yeah, you should go away more often and get treated. Get a little respect.
He always goes away about as often as possible.
What did I do with my glasses? Oh, no.
On your face. No.
No. What is no. How could I know? Oh, yeah, here they are. They're buried deep down. Remember the show Captain Kangaroo?
Yeah, big pockets.
That's an old recording.
Yeah, is that something? No, that's beyond. This is from another century, literally, But then there was another song one day, I'm not going to say it anyway. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Vision. 2020 vision or whatever. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should first offer our respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, and to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. Namah Om Srimadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane, Namaste Sasive, Gauravani Pachanani Visesha Srinivadi Paskatavadi Shalani. First of all, I'd like to apologize for my absence. I had to go to Miami for a while, and then I came back with this, whatever it is, hanging on. So, by Krishna's mercy, it's gradually diminishing. So, I hope I didn't cause any inconvenience in the program by not being here. So, the verse today is text 9 in Canto 1, Chapter 1, Canto 2. The first step in God realization. So, the Sanskrit is this Parishtito, Api Naigunya Parinishto Pinaiguna Uttama Shloka Lilaya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajase Grihita Cheta Rajase Apyanam Yad Adhitavan Pakyanam Yad Adhitavan Parinishito Pinaigunya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Krihita Cheta Rajase Atyanam Yad Adhitavan Parinishito Pinaigunya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajase Akyanam Yad Adhitavan Parishtito Pinaigunya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajase Akyanam Yad Adhitavan. Someone else?
Parinishito Pinirgunya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajase Akyanam Yad Adhitavan Parinishito Pinaigunya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajase Akyanam Yad Adhitavan
Parinishito Pinaigunya Uttama Shloka Lilaya Grihita Cheta Rajase Akyanam Yad Adhitavan.
The ladies?
Parinishito Pinaigunya Uttama Uttamashloka Leelaya.
Uttamashloka Leelaya.
Grihita Cheta Rajarshe.
Grihita Cheta Rajarshe.
Akyanam Yat Adhitavan.
Akyanam Yat Adhitavan. Amarishititopyena Dunya. Amarishititopyena Dunya. Uttamashloka Leelaya. Uttamashloka Leelaya. Grihita Cheta Rajarshe. Grihita Cheta Rajarshe. Akyanam Yat Adhitavan. Akyanam Yat Adhitavan. Parinishitopyena Dunya. Parinishitopyena Dunya. Uttamashloka Leelaya. Uttamashloka Leelaya. Grihita Cheta Rajarshe. Grihita Cheta Rajarshe. Akyanam Yat Adhitavan. Akyanam Yat Adhitavan.
Parinishitopyena Dunya.
Parinishitopyena Dunya.
Uttamashloka Leelaya.
Uttamashloka Leelaya.
Grihita Cheta Rajarshe.
Grihita Cheta Rajarshe.
Akyanam Yat Adhitavan.
Akyanam Yat Adhitavan.
Okay, word for word. Parinishta, paristita, fully realized.
Fully realized.
Api,
Api,
in spite of.
in spite of.
Nirgunye,
Nirgunye,
in transcendence.
in transcendence.
Uttama,
Uttama,
enlightened.
enlightened.
Shloka,
Sloka,
verse.
verse.
Leelaya,
Vijaya,
by the pastimes.
by the passage.
Grihita,
Grihita,
being attracted.
being attracted.
Cheta,
Cheta,
attention.
attention.
Rajarse,
Rajarse,
O saintly king.
O saintly king.
Ajnanam,
Ajnana,
delineation.
delineation.
Yat,
Yat,
that.
that.
Adhitavan,
Ahitavan.
Adhitavan. Yeah, I have studied.
That's good.
So the translation is, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence. This is Sukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj Pariksit. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Please repeat after me. O saintly king,
O saintly king,
I was certainly situated perfectly
I was certainly situated perfectly
in transcendence,
in transcendence,
yet I was still attracted
yet I was still
by
attracted
the delineation of the pastimes
by the delineation of the pastime
of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses.
by enlightened verses.
Actually, I was thinking I'd read the first 8 verses, the translation. First I'll read the purport. The absolute truth is realized as the impersonal Brahman, at the first instance by philosophical speculation, and later as the supersoul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if, by the grace of the Lord, an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into a transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. With a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the absolute truth, and the personal activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalists. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the absolute truth, help even the staunch impersonalists to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Sukadeva Goswami cannot be attracted by any mundane activity. But when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. The Lord is transcendental, as are his activities. He is neither inactive nor impersonal. So today's verse is, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. And so for the sake of Bhishma and all of us, I'm going to read the other previous 8, just the translations, to get the flow of this whole thing here. Well, first of all, it's Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's an invocation. Oh my Lord, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So that right there starts off where it's not a the absolute truth isn't in personal life. The absolute truth is a person, and that person is capable of keeping his personal form and expanding all throughout his creation without any diminution of his potencies. He remains perfect and complete. So, but it's hard for us in the conditioned world to comprehend that a person can be here.
Sorry, I'm trying to get it to, it needs to be a little off-center. Yeah. That way you can see the clock.
Okay.
Except Jesse says it, or Dana says it.
Sorry.
Because I've learned by sitting there about the reflection, sorry.
So, the point was, I don't remember.
I apologize.
So the next verse is, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, "My dear king, your question is glorious because it's very beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is the prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. Those persons who are materially engrossed, being blind to the knowledge of ultimate truth, have many subject matters for hearing in human society, O Emperor. The lifetime of such an envious householder is passed at night either in sleeping or in sex indulgence, and in the daytime either in making money or maintaining family members." Next. Pages are stuck. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva, knowledge of the Atma, do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attracted to the fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. A descendant of King Bharat, one who desires to be free from all miseries, must hear about, glorify, and also remember the personality of Godhead, who is the super soul, the controller, and the savior of all from all miseries. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by the perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. King Parikshit, mainly the topmost transcendentalists who are above the regulative principles and restrictions take pleasure in describing the glories of the Lord. At the end of Dwapara Yuga, I studied this great supplement of the Vedic literature, named Srimad Bhagavatam, which is equal to all the Vedas, from my father, Srila Dvaipanana Vyasadeva. And then today's verse is, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. So, Om Gyanti Mananda Shagananjana Salakaya Chaksoram Mitantina Kismai Shri Gurave Namaha. Did I read the purport already?
No.
Yeah, no? No? Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The absolute truth is realized as the impersonal Brahman at the first instance by philosophical speculation, and later as the Supersoul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if, by the grace of the Lord, an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of the Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into a transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. With a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the Absolute Truth, and the personal activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalists. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the Absolute Truth, help even the staunch impersonalists to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Sukadeva Goswami cannot be attracted by any mundane activity, but when such a devotee is convinced by his superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. The Lord is transcendental, as are all his activities. He is neither inactive nor impersonal. So, once again, I offer my respectful obeisance to Srila Prabhupada. I have the opportunity to be able to read and study these. This is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God, the Srimad Bhagavatam. There's the person Bhagavat, represented by someone like Srila Prabhupada, who lives the act. He's an embodiment of the teachings. There's nothing different between him and what he instructs. He's living example of devotional service. And then the Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of all the Vedic literatures. You take all the Vedic literatures and you cook it down to the, and get it to the sweetest, most condensed, concentrated part, the thickest nectar that goes into the ear hole of the aspiring transcendentalists and completely can even rejuvenate an impersonal, someone who's already situated on the impersonal Brahman level, completely enlivening their senses and attracting them to the personal activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore engaging in the process of Bhakti Yoga, starting with the Shravanam, hearing about, Kirtanam, chanting about, Smaranam, hearing, which is the first three stages, and which is right now the most, what we're describing. Because, first of all, Sukadeva Goswami, as we know, was already on the impersonal Brahman stage. He had no interest in anything mundane, anything material. The only thing that attracted him was when he heard his father, Dvaipana Vyas, instruct him in the Srimad Bhagavatam. As I mentioned, this is all. There's so many Vedas. There's so much knowledge. There's Vedas for how to go to war. There's Vedas for medicine. There's Veda for so many different activities. How to organize society, varnashram, all of these different things, and none of them will give you the transcendental nectar that you can receive from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the cream. This is the essence of everything. All the Vedas, it's all condensed, and they just cut through all of the other extraneous things and get right to the heart of the matter, or to the soul of the matter. And because this is the literature that can even defeat someone's attachment to the impersonal stage, where he just is just denying that he's a person. He feels that impersonalism is that he realizes he's not of this material nature, but his highest realization is that I am he, or I am that, I am a spirit soul, and I merge into that Brahman effulgence. But that's temporary. There's no way you can stay there, and there's no bliss there. So Sukadeva Goswami was on that level, and he hears the pastimes of the Lord in a condensed form, without bypassing all the other different types of Vedic knowledge and other stories. Everything is in here. Parts of the Mahabharata, parts of the Ramayana, all these things are in there, but it's done in such a way to get to the essence of the matter, not get caught up. So because this is for the bhakti, it's not an academic or it's not big, the intelligence is required, but what's really required is, what we're having here is a devotional understanding of the Shastra. And so Sukadeva Goswami was attracted to the Srimad Bhagavatam, he was attracted to the personalities of Godhead, and therefore he goes off, leaves his father, and now he's on the bhakti path. And the last thing he would do is stop and talk with an emperor and about anything material, or any other Vedic knowledge. That's the last. He's already way past that, but he's enlivened by the questions, perfect answers. The student is perfect, and the teacher is perfect. The moment is perfect. And we are getting to hear that conversation, because Maharaj Pariksit has left behind the entire empire because of the curse. He knows he's going to die, as we all are, and he has no problem. He doesn't start to think, well, I'm going to go out on pilgrims now and find what is the right thing to do at the time of death, so what should I bring with me? Well, should I bring a suchiket? What should I put in it? Different. He just goes. He just completely renounces it, leaves behind everything. And he has everything. And he is in the forest of Naimisharanya, asking the different sages what to do, and Sukadeva Goswami arrives at the right moment. And Pariksit Maharaj asks the perfect question. That what should I do now that I'm facing death? What should I do? What should I meditate? How should I prepare? This enlivens Sukadeva Goswami. He glorifies the question. He glorifies Pariksit Maharaj. And then the nectar begins to flow. It's like a river of nectar going into the ear of Maharaj Pariksit, and he's an attentive listener. He's really bathing in the sound vibration of Sukadeva Goswami's words. There he sits on the shore of, oblivion or eternity. Samsara, more and more births. He's right on the shore of it. And he just like Dhruva Maharaj used death as a stepping stone to eternity. When death arrived, simultaneously the plane to take him to Vaikuntha arrived, and he took that opportunity to step on the head of death to get onto the plane of Vaikuntha. So death is nothing to fear. Death is a stepping stone to the transcendental realm if we have the proper association, the proper attitude, and the proper mood, and we're able to inculcate these instructions that Prabhupada has so mercifully brought to us, that how the great souls prepare for death. Because that's when life begins, if you use it properly. That's when your real living begins. Now I'm going back home, back to God. We know, just like I know that tomorrow I'm going to have, there was yesterday, I was in the past, it's in the past, and I did things, and I knew when I woke up I'd have a present, and then I'm going to go to sleep, and there's going to be a future. So death is going to sleep. I know in this life, I die every night, in a sense. I go to sleep. And then I wake up, and there's a present. So when we die, there will be another present. There will be another identity. What will that be? Will it be our real identity? Or will it be another encaged, conditioned soul, another body, another part of the prison house? And Sukadeva Goswami sees this as a great opportunity to help this qualified personality, Pariksit Maharaj, who's asking this beautiful question, and then for the benefit of all. And everyone wants to hear this. Everyone wants to see this. Everyone. Like, you know, when you really, you know, in other words, you have this sort of vision, like focused concentration. Like say, you know, one good example is if you have a magnifying glass, and you hold that magnifying glass to catch the sun, it catches it, it creates a beam of sun. You catch the sun, and if you put it over something dry, some wood or leaves, you can ignite the fire. You can catch the sun. The concentration, that focused attention, I hear fully with rapt attention. I can catch Krishna's lotus feet. I can catch eternity. I can catch who I am. That's what we're striving for here. That's the stakes. That's what we've signed on for. Not just another alternative lifestyle. You know, another new age group or something. You know, the vegetarian, organic farming, mantra meditators. You know, we're trying to catch the eternal bliss. That is, we're denying ourselves. We turned our back on it. I heard this one example. Giriraj Maharaj, well, after he had been in the movement for a few years, and he had been in India mostly. He was originally in Boston. He was one of the first devotees I saw. I saw him and Jadharani and Nandakishore, Mother Janava in Boston. First I heard them chanting, and then I saw them. And so then after he was in Boston, he went to India. He'd been there for about 2, 3, 4 years. He had some health issues. He came back to America. And his father was a very prominent judge. And the father offered Srila Prabhupada, is there something I can do for your movement? Is there some way I can help you? He was a very wealthy man. And I heard in the past he had offered some money, but in this particular recollection of this pastime, the figure wasn't mentioned. But he says, because I'm willing to give you whatever you need, your money or something, but can I have my son back? And Prabhupada turned to Giriraj. He asked Giriraj, what do you think? What, do you want to go back with your father? And Giriraj says, no, I mean, he can give you Prabhupada, I'm not leaving you. I don't care how much he offers you. I mean, if you want to receive it, but I'm not leaving you. And Prabhupada says, what can I do? He's not here. I mean, he's here. I'm not making him stay. He wants to be here of his own free will. So, I'm not forcing him. So Prabhupada was saying, there's nothing I can say to you. This is what he wants. This is what your son wants. You can see, this is his choice. And I was realizing, I was thinking about it. It's like the basis of our whole. Krishna wants us to love him of our own free will, and so Maya is offering us all kinds of things. If you just stay here now, I will give you this and that. Okay, so in this lifetime you didn't do it quite right, but I can arrange and you can get a better situation. I'll help you get these possessions. What is it going to take? What possession is it that's going to finally bring you happiness? What relationship is finally going to bring you happiness? What journey to the Grand Canyon? Is that going to be it? Oh, I haven't seen the Grand Canyon yet. Or I haven't driven a Ferrari yet. Or I haven't, the bucket list thing. So many things Maya is offering. Oh, you haven't been, in charge of everyone yet. Go ahead, take it, see what happens. No, so in this case, here it is. Giriraj is saying, I'm standing here of my own free will. I want to be with Prabhupada. I want to go to Krishna. He can take me to Krishna. This is what Krishna is looking for. You can't force someone to love you. So Krishna doesn't, that's why people say, well, why does he let us fall? Or, Krishna gives us the choice. And he wants us to love him of our own free will. So, in this case now, and that here it is, Sukadeva Goswami, he's so enlivened to hear someone, and this is his first real opportunity after hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and after getting on the path of Bhakti Yoga, the highest stage of transcendental bliss. He has his first opportunity to really speak to a sincere student or sincere aspirant to understand what is transcendental knowledge, to glorify the Supreme Personality of God, and to repeat what he heard from his spiritual master. I don't know about any of you, but when I first made that first commitment after, about 2.5 years of, going to temple programs, going on Harinam occasionally, things like that, reading the books, so on and so forth. And then I made the commitment, moved in. And at one point, we were just doing Harinam Sankirtan and BTTs. And then all of a sudden, it was about, we got to start distributing the books. And they said, like, Krishna book would be a good one to distribute. I loved the idea. I was so happy because the Krishna book, I had read that one summer, and after that reading, I said, that's it. And simultaneously, after reading it, I saw Prabhupada on the news in New York. He was arriving at the airport. I think he was arriving at, I can't remember, it was LaGuardia or Kennedy. Can't remember if he was coming internationally or domestic. But in any case, I see him, and that's the author of the book. And so, and then I go and try to find him in New York. Anyway, so I was so happy because that book, I was, when you first join, you think all your friends, everybody, your relatives, they're going to immediately get it. But they don't. I mean, I had an experience I've told before that at that time, my very serious girlfriend, her father had died, and I'm in the middle of reading the Krishna book, and so that section where Vasudeva is telling Kamsa, in the beginning, he's telling Kamsa, why are you so afraid of death? Death is born with your, when you're born, your death sentence is already, that's not the words he uses, but your death is born along with your birth. And then he gives all these examples how, gradually we transmigrate from one body to another. And the whole speech that Vasudeva gave to Kamsa, why he shouldn't kill his sister, I wrote it out in a condolence card. Thinking that they would, be as enlivened as I was. And can anyone guess what their reaction was? No, they were furious. They were Jewish. I was already a Catholic, so that was not, I'm a boy. But they accepted me all these years, and then I walk in, they're doing this thing called a Shiva, and they're sitting there, during that, it's like a wake without the body. And so I walk in, and they're ready to pounce on me. And that, and so for all that time, for 2.5 years, I was always trying to philosophically or intellectually try to, debate with the devotees, and they had to defend themselves against my different questions. And sometimes I'd ask them questions and they didn't know the right answer. Like, well, how can you reach transcendence through something material? I asked, because they were distributing that record that they had done with George Harrison. He said, you can reach transcendence by listening to this record. I said, how can I reach transcendence with something material? And that's a question that Pariksit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami. And I read it in the Krishna book later. So But now here I am in a situation where they're attacking me or attacking the philosophy, and I'm defending the philosophy that I've been trying to talk myself out of. So I had to defend Krishna consciousness. And after that conversation, I'm going to the temple. That's it. And that was the fun. But because of that experience of reading the Krishna book, reading the Bhagavad Gita, that was very enlivening, but it's not the pastimes of the Lord. And when I heard these pastimes of the Lord, it changed everything, my whole attitude. And I was so anxious to tell other people about it. So here's Sukadeva Goswami. Just imagine, they're in this beautiful forest. You can imagine what it's like first thing in the morning, the birds, the different types of birds that are singing, probably peacocks in the background, different animals that might be wandering by, deer, or these blue cows, these rare blue cows you just see sometimes in India. They're actually like deers, really, a cross between a deer and a cow. And all these sages are there, and here's the emperor of the world, and he's on the bank of the flowing river, the Ganges, or the Jamuna, one of the sacred rivers, and he wants to know, what should I do? I've been cursed to die. What should I meditate on? And Sukadeva Goswami said, now I can preach the Bhagavatam to him. The Bhagavatam is the most important scripture to study. And it is the sum and substance of everything else. And it starts with this. So, you can read it at home, but it's not like, I think it even says in one of the purports either that we just read or it's coming up. Was it yesterday's class where you could read these books at home? Like you can get books from like doctors, and you can study what a surgery says, a how-to book. Like Surgery for Dummies. So you go into a doctor, and I think I need a bypass surgery.
I think you met one.
I did meet one who did a hernia surgery for me, or dental work for how-to kit. They send you some infomercial on TV. You can cut down on your dental bills. Just get this kit for $4.99. We'll teach you how to drill, root canal, and for a one-time offer, we'll also teach you how to do transplants or whatever they call it. So anyway, you can get so much, but without learning in the association of other devotees and being able to discuss with them, can you get the full knowledge? There was a devotee once, and I don't know if this letter is in the database because, sometimes the person, unless the person's turned in their letters to the archives, those letters are lost. But I remember this devotee that had been in Atlanta, and he went back to Nashville, and he wrote to Prabhupada saying that he'd been living in Nashville now for 6 months or a year. He feels like he's making so much more advancement than being in the temple by reading his books. And Prabhupada said, well, once you give up your hallucination of your so-called spiritual advancement, you should go back to the temple and make tangible spiritual advancement in the association of devotees. It was something to that effect. Now, Prabhupada also says, if you have these books in your home, you can benefit by that, and you can definitely make spiritual advancement. But to get the real benefit, you need to do this in the association of devotees. And there was a statement yesterday, in all due respect, in the class that said that we have no pure devotees here. In the regards that, in the context, to put this correctly, that in the context that no pure devotee that could be a Diksha Guru. But I would put it to you all that all I see here is pure devotees. Because Prabhupada said, all my disciples are pure devotees who are following the 4 regular principles and chanting 16 rounds and engaging in the deity service, assisting in the deity service, living in the association of devotees, living in a holy place. There are levels of purity. Now, being a pure devotee who's qualified to be a Diksha Guru, that's another issue. But everyone here is a pure devotee to various degrees. Like one time, somebody wrote to Prabhupada, I think about perfection or purity, and he said, all my disciples are pure, all my disciples are perfect, but there's no end to the purity, there's no end to the perfection. Like when you're in the ocean, you're obviously swimming, but there's no end to how far you can swim. It's unlimited. So it's a constant increasing in our internal process of we're going through various levels of purification, and that's why it's best to be hard on yourself and easy on others, because you don't understand, I don't understand what that person is going through and what Krishna is working on with them. Super Soul is working on certain issues that they have to deal with. I may say right now, I am always, now I'm fixed, I'm not, I'm celibate, I'm no illicit sex life, and I'm never going to go back to that. But now I'm old, I'm sick, and so it's easy for me to say that. I don't know if I really still have some deep-seated desire, that if I was in the right situation, if I was young and not sick, if I would, that weed would sprout up again. Krishna is purging us. When you get, people often say that when you're sick, that means that the impurities that were there in your body are now coming out. A lot of sicknesses are like that. Like if you've been fasting, all of a sudden you start getting boils, or you start having diarrhea, you get a fever, all the impurities are coming out. So in this case, we are all, we're in the fire, we're in the shower, however you want to put it, but we're all being purified together and separately, individually, and to get prepared for this ultimate test that, that at the time of death, I won't be thinking about the stock market or how my favorite baseball team or football team is doing or what's happening in the political world. I'll be thinking Krishna, 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 Krishna. Or my service to Krishna, like that. So, I've spoken too long. So anything anyone wants to say? Yes.
If I did make an offense, I apologize.
I didn't say it was offensive,
I just meant we may think, we look around and see people with problems and stuff like that, so we may think, well, this isn't what Prabhupada is talking about. We have to have a pure devotee. So, but if we follow the process purely, then it's the same. So I agree.
Yeah, well, I didn't try to make it sound like you committed an offense. I just tried to put it in a different context. But I heard this one devotee give a class the other day, and he was saying that you have to be careful. Like, say, he was giving an example of, there was one devotee in the temple that, he personally thought was kind of lazy, maybe ate too much and this and that. So he had a sort of a bad attitude about him. And then he met someone who had, who was not living in, not a devotee, but had just gotten a book from that very devotee. And he had a good experience with that devotee. And fortunately, and he had gotten, the boy had been, that other devotee that he had this bad attitude about, had been distributing the book in a place that you have to, really put up with a lot of smog and, traffic and all kinds of external problems. But he was out distributing books and gave this person a good impression of Krishna consciousness. So if he had gone for the sore, like the fly, and said something, oh, he's lazy, overeats, then that would have given this new person a bad impression of the devotees. So we have to try to train our mind to look for the nectar in every devotee, and not go for the sores. like the fly. We should develop the mentality of the honeybee. And I'm speaking about myself. I'm not sitting here saying that I have that. I heard this devotee say this example, and it spoke to me personally, and I'm sharing it with you. Yes?
When passing from one body to the next, trying to go back to Godhead, sometimes a person can slip going from one life to another.
Yeah.
What would cause a person to go backwards after progressing?
You can't go backwards. You stay where you are. The worst thing that happens is if you've reached like 10% advancement or 50% or 90%, that's forever. But you may just have to come back and start at that point. Or you may get, because you've done in that 90% or in that 10%, something very exceptional, and you get Guru Kripa. And Krishna, Prabhupada will come personally. The founder Acharya will personally come, and with your Diksha Guru, and give you the special mercy. You're not going to go backwards.
Well, what if you make an offense? Big offense.
Well, if you commit a Vaishnava Aparad, then you have to get that corrected.
You have to go back temporarily.
So
You have to get it corrected. If you know you've committed a Vaishnava Aparad, that's why we every morning say, we offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas.
So it's no loss of diminution.
No loss of diminution.
But you can appear to backslide, fall down, commit offenses against others.
To our vision of what is super soul, what does Krishna think?
Right.
We may think, oh, that guy's really out.
But
super soul may not think that way.
Right.
Krishna may not see it that way. But you can, like, there is a disciple of one of my godbrothers. Prabhupada said that he would have to take him 700,000 lifetimes before he'd get another human birth. But he committed a Guru Aparad.
What is it, Prabhu?
I don't remember the specific of it, but it had something to do with one of the previous acharyas, he said, hadn't been properly initiated, something like that. And in other words, he was criticizing one of Srila Prabhupada's, either his guru or his grandfather guru. And, and when Prabhupada, tried to correct him on it, he was adamant that he knew better, because he had heard from this other person. So, I don't remember the specifics of it, but Prabhupada said that he offended, it was like he offended someone in the disciplic succession who was a pure devotee by saying that they're not actually connected to Krishna. But actually it was very merciful, because a similar in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because when the devotees read that, we were all like, whoa, we never heard anything like that before. And Prabhupada was always very, very forgiving. You can hear all these pastimes with Prabhupada, and somebody keeps falling down, and then like Tamal Krishna saying, when will you, Prabhupada, how many times does he have to fall down before you won't take him back? And he said, never, I'll always take him back. But on this one, he's still taking him back. But the thing is that right around that time, the Chaitanya Charitamrita had come out, and there was a similar pastime where someone had committed a type of offense similar to this disciple of Prabhupada, but the reaction was that he had to wait 1.4 million lifetimes before he would get the association of Lord Chaitanya again. And actually, when the person heard that, he became ecstatic. And everybody was saying, well, why are you so ecstatic? He said, I know that in 1.4 million lifetimes, I will have Lord Chaitanya's association again.
It was Mukunda.
Yeah. And he was listening to the impersonalists. And so this particular godbrother was, he became very proud of his academic knowledge in Sanskrit. He used to help Vajunya in translation and helping Prabhupada in translation. So sometimes, you get caught up in the, like Prabhupada said, we translate devotionally, not necessarily academically or intellectually. So this person got caught up in a technicality. We have to be, we have to understand the essence. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream, it's the essence. We boiled the milk, and then we got down to the final stages of the thick nectar of it, or the pure ghee. All the impurities are out. All the extraneous things are out. Not that there's anything impure about the Vedas, but they can take you off and your intelligence becomes many-branched. The flowery words of the Vedas will take you in so many directions. You have to have the resolute determination that I'm focused on this process of hearing and chanting, this particular Yuga Dharma, the Sankirtan movement. Focused like a laser beam. When you focus the laser beam, you focus on light, and you can literally, burn things or blow up things. And even with sound, they know that if they reach a certain pitch and it's focused, it can shatter glass, it can do many things. We know that through sound vibration, if you know how to chant the mantras properly, you can start a fire. You can do so many things. So there's no more potent mantra than Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We focus our mind on that with no inattentiveness, which is not easy. Then really hearing it, first of all, you'll taste the nectar. There'll be a taste in your mouth. And you can't describe that unless, how do you describe the taste of honey? Well, it's kind of thick, maybe the texture is kind of like pudding, but it's thicker, and it's very sweet, but it's not sugar, and this is the color, so then you hold the bottle, and you hold it, and then you lick the bottle on the outside. You have to open it up, smell it, and take a drop of the honey on your tongue. And gradually, Krishna's there waiting for us to hear him. I'm sure we've all experienced moments, otherwise we wouldn't be here. You've experienced it. And you have to become eager for it. We have to become hungry for it. I want it. You have to become lauryam, greedy for it. Like the time in New Vrindavan in 1972 when they offered the cake to Prabhupada up on the stage, and he took a little taste of it, and that was prasadam, so it was a big, huge cake, really big cake, and they're walking across the stage in front of Radha Damodar and the really big Jagannath deities in New Vrindavan, and all of a sudden, it was just this surge, which I was a part of, we just surged towards that cake. It was like piranhas, barracudas. And that cake was literally devoured in seconds. I actually reached, and this is my godbrother's back, and this is his neck and head. I reached over his shoulder as he was putting a piece of cake in his mouth and grabbed it out of the mouth and put it in my mouth.
This was in front of the deities?
Yeah. Thinking back on it, you think, wow, what did we do? But at the moment, there was no thinking. It was just, we want that.
It's sort of like another cake I know about.
Huh. I was trying to show you what it was like. And then Prabhupada went up to his quarters, and meanwhile, they're cooking this whole thing on these open, with a barrel and coals, wood stove, outside. There's no proper kitchen. And you can see it in those videos. And Prabhupada said, so I can have some cake now? He saw what we had done. And so then they had to call out, this Mataji's name was Gayatri. And I remember one devotee going, does anyone know where Mother Gayatri is? Prabhupada wants some cake. We were like, I don't know anything about that. So she had to cook another cake. So, that's the kind of enthusiasm you have to have. I want to get up and want it. I want to taste it. I want to be that. I want to experience the same pleasure that these great sages are experiencing. Can you imagine Sukadeva Goswami and Pariksit Maharaj? They're sitting there. They don't eat anything. They don't sleep. I don't think they were even drinking. They must have stopped at night, but it doesn't say that. I mean, I don't know what they would do for light. Who knows? None of those things are described, but they kept going. The whole scene, if you study the scene and think about the atmosphere in that place, in that forest, surrounded by people like Dvaipanyana Vyas, Narada Muni, Parasara, all these great sages. Sutta Goswami was there. All of them. Even, I was thinking there's that expression to be a fly on the wall. I wouldn't mind, being at least a butterfly in the forest at that moment. Hearing that sound. It must have been just remarkable. And it's still going on as long as we keep hearing and chanting. Anyway, I should stop now. Okay. Anything else? No? Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama.
Hare Bol.